Oh, hi there. Uh, Again, of late, my topics on videos have been centralized around the legalization of marijuana, and this video will be no different. I had watched on the National that there's a fairly big player in the legalization of marijuana and how they plan on distributing it, and how branding was a bit of an issue for them. For one thing, I think it's a total lie. Like, historically, they always pull up the same old names and they cater to marijuana smokers' mentality. And what I mean by that, it's like obvious ones like Cheech and Chong, Dave Chappelle, um, oh, who's that other guy? Oh, Bob Marley, highly overrated. Um, and simply your traditional sense of what a weed smoker is. I live here in British Columbia, and we have to deal with Seth Rogen. His terrible comedy routine, the fact that he hasn't made a single good movie, all speaks volumes of what actually the intellectuals of marijuana really stand for and who they are as people, because they are stumbling idiots. I have very little respect for their intelligence. Anyway, there was a company on earlier on the National. I forget their name already. Started with an A, I believe. I tried Google searching it, and let's see what it says. It says it's Afira Inc. I think that's what it was called anyway. Anyway, it was on the National, so a lot of people did see it. I sparsely paid attention to it, and it was on for about 10-15 minutes, I suppose, of pharmaceutical grade marijuana. And the thing is, like, there are many points against it right off the bat. Like, for starters, the actual marijuana itself is to be distributed in pharmaceutical bottles. Now, if that's not, an alarm bell for anyone who happens to smoke marijuana, then you are a particularly dim-witted person. For me, if something's coming out of a pharmaceutical bottle, I immediately do not trust it. And marijuana and this great gift bestowed upon the Canadian public. Yeah, Justin Trudeau, you want to make a lot of money. We understand that. And you're going to get angry if you don't make a lot of money. Like just about everybody who figures that they're entitled to make a lot of money. However, you have to understand that things sometimes simply don't work. And if that's going to cause you to have some sort of, I don't know, epileptic episode or something like that, then that's too fucking bad. I really don't care if Justin Trudeau looks like a douchebag or not. At this point, things are definitely not going as they planned, because it almost looked as though, based on the report on the National, that marijuana was dragging their feet, that they weren't getting the momentum that they thought they were going to get. They probably were getting it months ago when it was first brought up, in the sense of actually movement on making it legalized. I mean, they've been talking about legalizing marijuana for a long time. Sometimes it's been on the back burner, sometimes it's been a hot topic and things like that. And, I personally don't give a damn if somebody smokes weed. I do give a damn if it's done in the wrong place, wrong time, and they try to peer pressure me into accepting their way of life. You want to go along with Justin Trudeau's plan, that's your business. But look at his track record. Look what he's already done. He's all about the LGBTQT S753 FCZ movement. So, how does that reflect upon marijuana? Well, it's damned obvious. They're going to be messing around with it as its pharmaceutical grade. And, it is a bit, unwise of me to have mentioned it, me specifically, because I actually have a dependency on some of the medications they've prescribed me over the years that aren't marijuana related. Um, and, I don't know, they're not people you can trust. I can tell you that much. You can't trust them. They're out there to get your money, and that's what they want. And these idiots that go in there with this preconception that, oh, it's like Bob Marley, it's like Cheech and Chong, it's like Scooby Doo. It's like, no, you're a fucking retard who believes what he's told. I mean, you shouldn't go around in life disbelieving everything people tell you, but, there are sales pitches that sound like a used car dealership. And you have to understand that that is a fact of life, whether you want to believe it or not. And this marijuana movement is exactly that. I will never support it. And you get people going, well, man, like, how can you hate something you've never tried before, man? And it's like, what business is it of yours to tell me how to think? Have you ever thought of that concept? Did that ever cross your mind? That maybe you should mind your own damn business? Because evidently it hasn't. Because if it were, there'd be billboards up, they would be taught in school and things like that, and people would be indoctrinated into your style of thinking. That is the ultimate goal of these big multi-billion-dollar companies that sell marijuana. They're as bad and even worse than the cigarette companies. Sure, they've learned the mistakes of the cigarette companies and they made, and now they're trying to create a new product that will generate revenue. However, yeah, it's got a lot of the same health defects that cigarettes used to have. That's not a conversation that's on the table too often, especially to the public. And this particular company that was going, oh, what are we going to do about branding and things like that, and change the subject kind of thing, when really everyone knows what kind of branding on the street, what it's going to be like. But as far as coming up with a name for their company, how it's to be distributed, and how it's to be associated with, they're having more difficulty than they would like, probably because political and financial district entanglements. And if you ask me, I don't give no damn. I don't care if marijuana flounders in the stock markets and then crashes. Because what a lot of those stupid potheads don't understand is that the bulk of the marijuana that's grown here is going to be shipped overseas. That's the fact of the matter. And a lot of it is probably going to be sprinkled with the opium of the poppy fields from Afghanistan that the Americans went in there to invade. The irony that these pot smokers are contributing to a business corporation that uses the profits and the resources based on war, which is associated, it's anonymous with the marijuana as against war. They're against Afghanistan war. Leave them alone. Vietnam for the Vietnamese and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, hold the phone, stupid. When this stuff is being shipped overseas, whether you know it or not, whether you want to accept it or not, to a lot of these places, the Canadian government doesn't give a damn what it does to those people. They don't give a damn. That's the truth. And, there are places like in Asia. I mean, there was two big wars about that called the Opium Wars, where marijuana can be sold at exponential prices, and they'll actually buy it. And you go, but wait a minute, man, like Mao Zedong and third world country, and like he did his best kind of thing. And it's like, no, stupid. It's all about trade. It's not about financial currency as a hard copy. It's about maybe the Chinese releasing or relinquishing some what you call it, sanctions. That's it. Sanctions against the Americans. Everyone thinks it's the Americans always putting down sanctions. I bet 9 out of 10 stoners don't fucking know that, actually the Chinese put sanctions on us, force us to play by their terms. And you go, well, what do they have of value? Not stinging a lot other than they're slaves. But they do have some resources that they have more bountiful than we do, mostly because of their invasion of Africa and things like that, and how when those were European colonies, resources were there were different things that were considered resources like rubber, oil, and that sort of stuff, and those are all important. But they're also rare earth minerals that are important to use build computers and things like that. Oh, damn cough. Wrong time for a bad cough, but anyway, it's all a bunch of bullshit. And you will get guys who will up and stand up and say, oh, but like places like China, they really crack down on opium usage and things like that. Yeah, but they're all about making as much money as possible. So they'll relax the laws so that if Canada's on board, and we're not going to be calling it China anytime soon, there are two fucking languages in this country. One is English, and to a lesser extent, the other one's French. This is not a fucking multi-bilingual fucking Justin Trudeau spreading his cheeks out to the world fucking country. And don't take my word for it. Oh, don't take my word for it. You'll see other people who will strongly, adamantly disagree with things Justin Trudeau thinks is right because he's one of these pseudo-intellectuals. Yeah, what a bunch of douchebags. Anyway, it is important to note that most of this marijuana, hypocritically and ironically, will be sold against the best wishes of actual marijuana smokers, because most marijuana smokers are stupid. They follow the old rhetoric. They're not receptive to new ideas. They build walls within their minds to inhibit themselves from learning and, possibly, creating a definite, more intelligent opinion about things. And you may go, no, man, like marijuana's all about free thinking and blah, 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 blah. And I go, no, it fucking well isn't. I mean, most people have walls within their brains that deflect uh, mindsets that they don't agree with. That's normal because there's a lot of mindsets that people have that I'm like, yeah, you can try that on me. It's not going to work. Your rhetoric is simply not good enough. And you're going to have to put up with me not liking it, whether you like it or not. Because as an individual, I'm allowed to make a choice. I'm allowed to say, no, I don't agree with this. Yes, I agree with this, or whatever. Because the thing is, I don't think there are people out there who are intellectually capable of making me change my mind on this particular subject. There are other subjects, given new information, that's a possibility. No damn tricks. That means no manipulative tactics and no putting me in awkward situations where I have no other choice. Because, yeah, you better believe there has been times where people have been smoking marijuana and then there's been peer pressure type situations. And this looks like roll out the red carpet for this bullshit. And it's not the thing that, marijuana smokers want to hear because, they always thought they were the rebels. They're the ones that had to live on the fringe of society and it's their time to stand out in the public eye. Maybe if I won't criticize you, I wouldn't point out that you're long-haired, freaky people, and you're even worse now under Justin Trudeau's government. I mean, they actually are a minority. Weed smokers, they're a minority. They're like on the television. It broadcasts how they're the big juggernaut and they're coming through, and it's so justified and everything's right about it. And it's like, hold on a second, you stupid asshole. I don't have to believe your stuff, and a lot of people don't. But people, they don't go on social media platforms with their actual, uh, internet profile and their physog like I've got, and talk about how they are adamantly against marijuana. And I admit my reasons are slightly biased by the fact that I prefer alcohol. Alcohol, my ancestor 1,000 years ago would have been drinking alcohol. He would not have smoked a marijuana. He would have considered it, a useless weed. Ironically, that's the name for marijuana is weed. What do we associate weeds with? Annoying pestilence on our lawn is what we associate it with. And marijuana smokers, they don't think that. They don't, they only know what their current surroundings, limited intelligence allows them to know. So if people think, well, everyone's going to be enlightened, it'll be a new golden age of, social connection, and everything's going to be a big, bright future if we accept that marijuana is entering the field. It's like maybe it is for the people who are sponsoring it, like the cigarette companies and other less than scrupulous uh, characters promoting it. Perhaps for them because they're going to make a lot of money, but you as a douchebag, you're going to be paying big bucks for it, and most of it is going to be shipped out of the country to less than reputable businessmen. And you can go ahead and try and defend it all you like, but that is the bottom line. That's the truth. And I'm not going to say alcohol wasn't shipped overseas, but not nearly as much because they had a different mindset when alcohol was the predominant legal substance. Because alcohol is a substance. It's true. It induces an effect that doctors would state as being self-medicating. That's what they choose to believe. I don't agree with them because I don't agree with a lot of things that I've got to say. Oh, allergies. I took a Claritin, but it's not helping too much. Anyway, there are a lot of things going on, a lot of money being shifted backwards and forwards. So, a man in my position, people will go, "Oh man, it's kind of ballsy of you to to make a video discrediting what was supposed to be a big giant bubble of economic success for the marijuana companies, and you're coming along and you're going to deflate the whole thing if you can." I won't make no secret of that. I definitely, if I could, I would deflate the whole thing because I don't agree with it. I think it's a bunch of junk. Always has been junk, always will be junk, and it doesn't matter if, the common day, every idiot is indoctrinated into believing it is something that it is not. And this particular company that was on the National, all the spokespeople for it, all homos. They were all homosexuals. You can tell by the way they sit. You can tell by the way they look. You can tell by the way they talk. Um, and they had a completely different mindset. There was one particular one who, when he was speaking to the reporters, he was going, "Well, we got an alcohol that is marijuana orientated, but doesn't actually have marijuana in it or a THC." He said, and that's true for now. But at some point, he's going to want to put as a hybrid, as in a single alcoholic beverage that contains THC in it. And to me, to a guy like me, that's an abortion. It's abominable, and it's a disgusting, inhumane thing to do to alcohol. Uh, and then, once you figure that sort of aspect out, you go, well, what else could he possibly be interested in? Now, this is simply hypothetical, but looking from the outside and having a look from there, it looks like he's into the whole hybridization of alcohol and weed, which would translate into other aspects of society. And you know how I was griping about the Predator movie and how the Predator was somewhat obsessed with, hybrid this, hybrid that. And, for me, I flip through the Rolodex in my head and I go, well, what other character was really into that type of thing? And Mr. Sinister pops up from X-Men. And, he was a disgusting character, someone you couldn't trust, and, was a really, really sleazy person. And, I honestly thought that Robert Downey Jr. could play him well. Oh, such a bad time for a cough, and nasal congestion, but oh well, I have no choice in that matter. Um, and it's like, where does the line get drawn? Because the more money you're worth, um, the more sadistic your problems are, which is why you don't want that kind of money. Oh, damn allergies! Maybe I should take another Claritin or something. I don't know. Oh, anyway, yeah. I really gotta say, um, if if it's at all possible, I would like to create more barriers, more obstacles, and make it more difficult for the marijuana companies to just sort of just swoop in and take over the industries. Um, because the thing about hybridization is there always is the dominant factor. And considering these people are of the marijuana movement, they will want the dominant factor over alcohol. And both have their problems, and they seem to think marijuana's problems are lesser for some retarded reason. Um, However, I humbly disagree because none of that stuff is indicative to me. It's all about the mindset of when you go in there, unless it's a physical ailment that happens as you're indulging in that particular substance. And marijuana, like I cannot be near anyone who's smoking too much of it, or in an enclosed room where people are smoking it, or anything like that. I feel physically ill when that happens. A lot of people think it's fun, pleasant, and all that kind of stuff. I do not. I get grotesquely sick. Like it induces vomiting for me. Actually, I'm not even joking about that. It's the truth. And it again, it's this type of message that a lot of people don't want to hear, don't want to accept, and they're free to do so. They are douchebags, of course, but they're free to have their opinions so long as they keep it to themselves and it's an honorable opinion, respectful, and not like batshit crazy, which is a little bit on the true side. Because people don't know that there is such thing as a reefer madness, and I have seen it firsthand a few times where people have thought they were intelligent, and it was like, no, 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 you look like a complete retard. And like here I am talking on the YouTube, and there has been one or two or three or four times where I have looked like a complete retard because I've been drunk when I've been making videos, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But that's the difference between alcohol and marijuana. A marijuana smoker would, be hiding under their bed going, "Oh no, the FBI can hear me through my fillings in my teeth." And I'd be like, "I'm gonna go make a video on YouTube, biatch. What are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna hide here and, eat chocolate and that half-eating drumstick I found in the garbage bin that we ate last week." Uh, I've never ran into somebody like that, but I'm using it as an example because there are people like that. And I hope that the laws in regards to the consumption of marijuana are strict, fair, and appropriate for the situation, because there are a lot of people with screwed up opinions about their freedoms and what they're allowed to do and how they shouldn't be scrutinized. And it's like, as I said before, you don't get a free pass because now marijuana is becoming legal and alcohol has been legal for so long, and how alcohol was responsible, or contributing factor, I should say, to bad things happening, mostly bar fights, car crashes, and that sort. They don't get a free pass. It doesn't mean that. There's no such thing as substance karma. And they can choose to believe that or not. But the fact of the matter is, the government makes the law, and no reasonable person, unless they're money-minded and it's all about themselves, would possibly agree totally 100% with the marijuana movement, unless they're an addict, or they're making a lot of money, or they're dependent on it. which are all psychological conditions. And I think there are a lot of people out there that know the scientific aspects of it a lot better, and I hope by me making these videos that it sort of loosens them up a bit so that they're able to uh, enlighten people a bit better. And I don't mean some pseudo intellectual enlightenment. I mean actually let people know exactly what's going on, instead of being one chapter ahead in an English class to your students and acting like you're the master. And it's like, no, you're just a chapter ahead. You're literally 10 pages ahead of us. So don't pretend you're some sort of master when you're just a cunt. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later, and yeah, that's what I gotta say. So, hopefully, with Justin Trudeau and everything he's been as a prime minister, you can associate it with weed because it's Justin Trudeau who's pushing it. And it doesn't matter if he hires lackeys like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, or he's got Mark Emery in his back pocket, or whatever. He's still there to take your money because they are addicted to your money and they want you to be dependent, if not addicted, to their product. And anyone who says different is either stupid or a lying sack of shit. One or the other. There is no in between, and that's the way it is. So anyway, I'll talk to you freaks later. Have a good day and good night, and fuck off.